All right, peace, family. Chauncey, aka the Black Separatist, live in the flesh, right back at you on a Sunday. Pleasant Sunday today, week before Mother's Day. I know I did some shopping today and yesterday with some Mother's Day gifts and stuff like that. So that's neither here nor there. Anyway, family, real quick, I want to talk about a subject of dealing with relatives who are not on the same page as you, whether you want to call yourself woke, conscious, enlightened, whatever the case may be. And you know that you, if you're classified as black or African American, if you know, just like our brother Neely Fuller would say, if you know and understand racism, white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything that you thought you knew will only confuse you, right? If you don't know how it works. Everything that you thought you knew would only confuse you. And that was the topic of conversation. That's where Lisa led up to when I was talking to a family relative who's related by marriage, but he's still family regardless. And if you're watching this video, I'm gonna break this down for you so you get a better understanding, because the person, when you're dealing with relatives, friends, and you're coming from a perspective of you've done studying, you've done research, and you understand our plight collectively as a group, black people, right? You understand our plight and what we need to do, or at least have a sense of what we need to do to get out of this issue that we're in, where the system of racism, white supremacy reigns supreme, and they control all 9 areas of activity. That's economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and more. Everything. So the conversation we had, we were talking about Kanye West's comments, the comments about, all they call it streams of consciousness, the streams of bullshit coming out of his, his so-called brain. Kanye West has not been the same ever since his mother died, Donda West, rest in peace to her, in 2007. Okay, that's where mentally he took a loss. He took a dive. He's beyond a sunken place, and he's beyond Cooney right now. He's literally a former shell of himself. The old Kanye died from 2005, okay? Now you're witnessing the other person. But anyway, we're talking about Kanye West and his comments, and my cousin asked me my perspective of Kanye's comments about slavery was a choice and things of that nature. And I told him basically the same thing I said in my past videos. I said Kanye's comments were intellectually dishonest, disingenuous, beyond ignorant, and he said those things out of shock value to spark up interest and buzz for his upcoming music projects and his upcoming clothing line, Yeezy and all that stuff. I said, slavery was a choice, so is buying his music and his merchandise. You have a choice to buy that too, right? If that's the case. But, I told him, obviously slavery was not a choice. You look at history, you study the history of the transatlantic slave trade, which my ad, they said 400 years. It's not 400 years. It's been over 500 years. The first recorded slave was 1505. All right, and that was actually by the first slave that was brought into the New World was the slave master that did that was Christopher Columbus's son, or relative, if I'm not mistaken. It was a relative towards Christopher Columbus, and he brought a slave into the New World. All right, and now slavery has been a big business for since inception, basically the inception of man. Slavery in the New World, they enslave our indigenous people, who are our brothers and sisters, our African brothers and sisters. Because if you study the Folsom people, you understand that the Native Americans, that the indigenous people of the so-called United States are Africans. Okay? So when they got tired of dealing with indigenous people in the New World, they went and got slaves from Africa. All right? Went and got and captured them. Right? By force, not by choice. By force. And like I said in my other videos as well, you know, the whole thing about slavery being a choice and how that's coupled with the metaphor of black people need to stop playing the victim role. Just like I said, if we need to stop playing the victim role, we are taught to pray and forgive and forget our oppressors. But you can't tell that to the Asian community. You can't tell that to the Jewish community. You can't tell that to the Native American community, because guess what? They got their reparations from their atrocities. But black people, our ancestors, who faced those atrocities for over 500 years, right? We can't get reparations, right? So that was the point I was trying to make, right? You know, collectively as a group, black people suffer from not only mental enslavement, we're still suffering from all 9 areas of activity of oppression. And he was basically trying to say that he was kind of basically agreeing with what Kanye was saying, low key. You know, he's a guy that only knows or was brought up into Christianity. That's all he knows is Christianity, praying to a white Jesus, reading the Bible, most likely King James Version. And King James was a damn devil-worshipping homosexual. You know, you just got a lot to study, And, you know, I can't, anytime I talk to a person like that, I like to reference materials that I've studied so they get a better understanding of where I come from, because I can't sit there and have a conversation with someone. If I mention things, they're not going to know what I'm talking about. They're going to be like, why, what, who, where? I have to reference things. So I referenced 2 books for him to read, because I really did not want to have this conversation about, you know, the Kanye West, because I can get, you know, really, really deep into that. And, you know, it's the reason why I got banned from Facebook, because when I post things like that, you know, they get flagged and I get banned. I haven't been on Facebook for 3 years. But I referenced 2 books. The first book was Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, The ISIS Papers. I said, read that. And I referenced another book, which was by Dr. Ivan Van Cernema, They Came Before Columbus. I said, read those 2 books, brother. Read those 2 books. You get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. Right? But he likes to have one-on-one conversations with people so he can have a dialogue, which is fine. But even so, the things I talk about, you're not going to understand unless you study them. You're not. You know, it's just facts. You have to study. Point blank and simple. Right? But again, like I said, he was trying to basically say he agreed with Kanye West and that black people are mentally enslaved, and that he was talking about free thinkers. He agreed with the free thought of Kanye West, and, you know, he was basically saying, yeah, man, you know, I'm a free thinker. I'm like, yeah, cool. You're a free thinker. So was the slave master. Just like, you know, Janelle Monáe said, and she surmised it perfectly. Our slave masters were free thinkers. Our slave masters, the people who created these laws and statutes, these slave codes, who started law enforcement, the 1789 Judiciary Act of Law Enforcement was perfectly designed to capture and kill slaves. That's it. Those people were free thinkers as well, right? So I said all that to say this, you know, basically that when you're dealing with people who are not on the same page as you, I tread lightly. I basically tell them to study. I give them references to study, and I tell them, start with those 2 references and then come back to me. Then we can have a real dialogue. because, you know, it got to a point where we were actually arguing. I told him, listen, bro, you don't know what you're talking about, because, you know, he basically was telling me that he's a free thinker, then I'm a free thinker too. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not a free thinker. And I was basically implying that black people collectively live under a system of racism, white supremacy. Our thoughts are socially engineered by the dominant white society. Epigenetics is still owned and controlled by them, right? So when you see, they always talk about Chicago and stuff like that, but they never talk about why there's quote unquote black on black crime. They love to bring that up. You know, every white supremacist talking point brings up Chicago. Why is there so much quote unquote black on black crime? Right? Because of economic deprivation. Because of poverty-stricken areas where collectively black people reside. Because of lack of resources, lack of jobs. When you have things of that nature in that kind of atmosphere, you have a mentality of do what you can, including kill or destroy your own people, right? So that particular system, which is systematic, it goes with systemic oppression. That system ensures that black people have a higher chance to fail or be killed, right? So, again, he was trying to say that he implied that, you know, Chauncey, I can't believe you said that you're oppressed. You got a big house, you got a family, you make, you know, real good money. I said, you know, that's true. That's all true. As an individual, that's true. That I'm successful in that aspect. But collectively, it means absolutely nothing. It's like, say for instance, you know, the NBA playoffs is happening right now, right? And I know LeBron James is, I'm not really watching the playoffs like that, but I know LeBron James is having, you know, a pretty much all-time great performance in the playoffs. So just imagine that LeBron James is averaging like 50 points a game, right? And has averaging a triple-double, basically. Averaging a triple-double. You know, his individual stats are through the roof, but when he goes to the finals, he loses, right? That's the same thing as far as my family. Yes, I am successful with my family individually, but it means nothing if collectively black people, our average household income as a family goes through the roof. It's higher than the average Asian community. It's higher than the average white community, right? That our chances of having single parent mothers raising children are lower, where we would have a two-parent household. If that happens, every statistic that you can think of will decline. We will have a higher chance of doing a whole lot of things, right? So just because I'm successful, quote unquote, individually, it means absolutely nothing if collectively black people are not on the same page, right? So that's where he does not understand. So it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter your social, economical, and political status. You're still a victim. You're still a system. You're still in a system of racism, white supremacy. You're still oppressed. It's just that simple. My bad for the background noise. My son is here in the garage. What are you doing, by the way? Okay, go ahead. So anyway, family, so when you're dealing with relatives who don't really understand that, then all you can basically do is give them a point of reference. Depending on their age, if they're like in their 30s, 40s, or whatever, they're pretty much stuck in their ways. They're never going to change. They're not going to evolve. right? They're not going to evolve and change. So, but you can just give them a point of reference. Maybe they'll, you know, read a couple lines here or there at a book or whatever, but they're pretty much stuck in their ways because that's all they know is, you know, the number one thing that gets, not, well, I wouldn't say number one thing, but one of the things that kind of captures black people and has us socially engineered to think a certain way is religion. So when you're caught into praising for a white Jesus and the white deity and Christianity and stuff like that, and that's all you know, it's unfortunate and it's sad at the same time that they don't really understand the history of how Christianity and Abrahamic religion as a whole work, right? You know, monotheism, polytheism, henotheism, all that stuff, they don't really understand how that works, you know? So, but yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. Dealing with family members who are not on the same page as you, they're basically coons. If they're saying that, you know, just because you're successful, you're not oppressed. No, you are oppressed. Okay, you are oppressed. And I don't count my individual success without a collective effort. So my individual success means absolutely nothing unless collectively black people are all thriving on the same level. Point blank and simple. All right? So anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that, family. Leave your comments down below about dealing with family members or friends who are not on the same page as you or the same wavelength as you in terms of your thought process about, you know, the system that we live in, which is racism, white supremacy. All right? Share your comments down below in the comment section about, and also about Kanye West or whatever you want to talk about. Leave your comments down below. Also, family, be on the lookout for my new YouTube channel. It's still under the work. It's still under works. GMOG Sports TV. GMOG Sports TV. I'm basically doing a separate channel about sports. It's a lot of things I want to talk about in sports, and I don't want them all on the same channel on GMOG Media TV. So I'm having a separate channel about sports-related topics. GMOG Sports TV. So be on the lookout for that. All right, family. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on social media. Everything is GMOG Media TV, Instagram, Twitter. All links are down below in the description. Hit that bell notification icon for new upcoming videos. Until next time, family, Chauncey, a.k.a. the Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.